Hey everybody, what's going on? You are listening to the Playing On Podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. We are brought to you today by drpaintball.com. You can find all kinds of awesome paintball gear over at drpaintball.com, and the cool thing is they offer easy financing because not everybody can afford these sweet markers that everybody has out there. But if you go over to drpaintball.com, they have great financing, all kinds of products, anything paintball that you can think of, they have over there. So thank you to drpaintball.com. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball, which are the manufacturers of a cool base layer that I wear. It's a compression fit that also integrates arm pads and knee pads. So ever since I've started wearing them, I have not switched back. I love those things. They have there's a lot of people out there that make pads and certain things for protection, but nothing like this. This is very kind of a new high impact foam and compression fit all in one, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you to Carbon Paintball. Just head over to carbonpaintball.com and type in capital TPOP at checkout, and you can get 10% off. So thank you, Carbon. We are also brought to you by Midwest Clothing, the makers of all kinds of crazy custom gear. Check out all of their headgear. That's what I take from those guys as far as sponsorship goes. They supply me with any headgear that you can think of. They can come up with it, and they can hook you up. So head over to MidwestClothingLLC.com and type in capital TPOP at checkout, and you can get 20% off of your entire order. This is going to all of the Playing On Podcast listeners. So thank you, Midwest Clothing. And we are also brought to you by Planet Eclipse, makers of the CS 1.5, the LVR. The makers of the finest paintball markers on the planet, hands down. And you can't go wrong when you have a Planet marker in your hand. That's for sure. Believe me, I've been shooting one since 2005. Beginning of 2005 is when the first Ego came out. So I've been shooting for a long time, and I've been impressed year after year on all these new marker upgrades and innovations, and everything that they put on that marker I've seen and develop, and nothing but impressive innovations every time they come out with something. So thank you, Planet Eclipse. Also, last but not least, thank you to Vantrition, who are the makers of the paintball supplement, the Preload, the Paintball Reload, and also some very, very cool proteins that you guys can check out over at vantrition.com. I use all three. I use the protein, the 4-plate protein. I use the Preload during pregame before matches, and I use the Reload about an hour after matches. So if you head over to vantrition.com and type in TPOP, capital TPOP, you can get 15% off your final order. So thank you to all the sponsors. Greatly appreciate it, but I appreciate you guys listening, and I am going to be bringing you Sam Monville. As far as, I think he's fresh off of a millennium in this interview, but also it was like the very next weekend after Dallas was the millennium event, but Houston Heat had just won Dallas, and then he was just shipped overseas to compete in there. And man, I went back and watched the finals games, and it's ridiculous, man. The talent level of all these teams is ridiculous. I mean, Heat has a roster, Impact has a roster, and Sam just fits right into the middle of the mix, and that's what it takes. It takes these, it takes superstars, it takes role players, it takes leaders, it takes a great coach. It takes all this stuff to combine and mix well to become and develop into these top pro teams, and that's what Impact is doing, and that's what Houston Heat is doing. And it's really cool to hear the base of how Houston Heat became Houston Heat, and how the Russians came about, and kind of where Sam and Chad and everybody kind of came from, and how it all started and developed. So I thought that was a really, really cool thing. I enjoyed the interview. I really hope you guys do too. All right, Sam, what's up, man?
Yeah. Nah, nothing much, man.
Besides that gnarly mustache.
Yeah, just trying to, do something different out there.
It is.
Man, I got emotionally attached, so.
I like it though. It's definitely unique, but it fits your face.
Yeah, and that's what like Montrester keeps on being like, I can't picture you without it now. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because it's been like 9 months, dude. Like, it all started because like me and Ryan Smith is a joke, like, dude, we're gonna grow the dusters out, man. And then like, next thing I know, like we did that around Paris of last year.
Yeah.
And then like the last Paris event, that's before World Cup, everything. And then next thing I know, like I still have it. I'm like, man, I'm like emotionally attached. And like one of my friends from Maryland, he played for a team called DC Monstars, and like played with like the Revo team before there was even like a Revo semi-pro team and stuff. And he, everybody just knows him as Mustache Adam. And,
yeah.
Like, he has one, and it's solid. He's a chef, and we're like, he came to Thailand with all of us for an event, and he's like, yeah, man, like just stick with it, man. He's like, I've had mine for like 6 years now. So I'm like, oh, okay, dude. Like I don't know if I could be doing that. He's like, yeah, you think that, and 6 years later, here you are. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yours has it kind of has like the straight thing going on, just straight out east west.
I'll work it out, and then like I'll put it up a little bit. It's like you actually poke yourself in the eye, man. It's actually like a health hazard.
So how do you prefer it for events? Do you wax it a little bit? Do you?
It's, in the morning I give her just I spread her out a little. It's just the problem is otherwise she'll get all bushy, and then like, and underneath the mask, it's I've actually gotten hairs caught in there, and it kind of actually hurts because all of a sudden you go pull your mask off, you're like, oh, all right, it just pulled half my face off. So like. Try to keep it a little tame, but I'm not trying to go out there and win a beauty contest.
Yeah, there you go. Like one of the most annoying things for me is when I take off my goggles and then I go to put them on for the next point, and one of my hairs like is woven itself in between the foam, and it like tickles like the corner of my nose or like my eye.
That's always one thing that like I've always been like huge on. Like even before I put my mask on and stuff, like the first thing in the morning, I'm like, man, I'm digging each little hair out. Yep, I'm like, oh, it is like the most annoying. Like the only piece of equipment I'm like really picky about is masks. Just I'm like, dude, I want to wear your mask, man. It's like you've been sweating up in that thing, and like dude, I don't hate that. Breathing in it. It's like somebody, I need a mask quick. Like, I didn't grab mine. Cool. We'll call timeout if that's the case.
Dude,
it's not cool.
I hate it because look, you get it, and the first thing you do is when you get somebody else's goggles is you look at all the condensate that is built up, and you're like, no, not happening, dude.
Like I've had a couple times I was like literally just like whatever. Like like the one time with I think it was when it was Slowiak was on our team, and I couldn't get the mask tight enough, and when we were in the finals, and like he was wearing a profile, I got really small head, so like I couldn't pull it tight enough to fit on my head, and I just ripped, like how it's like woven into like the earpiece. Well, I just ripped that off and just tightened it around my head. He was like, "Dude, you just ripped my mask." I was like, "I'll get you a new one." Like, I'm sorry about that, but like time crunch, baby. And he was like, yeah, it's reasonable. Like I had to do it on the fly. Sorry about that. I'll get you a new one. He's like, yeah, well, it was worth it.
So, talking about days like that, like, what, let's take it all the way back to kind of where you started, because honestly, like, I obviously know who you are. There are some people who know who you are out there. I'm not saying that you're not, paintball famous or anything, but you are one of the lesser known names on Houston Heat, and I really want to know how you've kind of come into that position to actually be on that team of superstars. Not saying nothing against you are a superstar yourself, but how did a guy are you from Pennsylvania?
I actually grew up in Maryland.
In Maryland?
So, yep.
So I want to know how a guy like that ended up on a team with 3 Russians. Yeah. And all the new guys on the team. So let's start at square one. How did you discover paintball for the first time?
Honestly, it was, kind of just like anybody else, just being a kid, and you hear about this thing where you go and shoot your buddies. Like, yeah, I'd be interested in that. And then, like, we played around, messed around the woods, like, by our house with some guys and stuff. And then it wasn't until, like, around, like, I played competitive hockey. Like, that's all I did. I was practicing 3 times a week.
Hey, you were a hockey
games on
player.
The weekends, and, that was my life from the time I was, like, 5 years old until about 15 years old. Like, all I did was play hockey. Like, that's all I did. I would go to camps every summer in Canada, and there was one Hershey called Hershey Camp that was run by Bob Hartley, the old coach of the Colorado Avalanche. And, like, it was like I was being shipped off, and, like, I loved it, and, like, still to this day, like, I'm literally wearing, like, a Malkin shirt right now. Like, it's I watch every game, like,
as a Penguins reference, if anybody knows.
Oh yeah. Being a Penguins fan in Maryland wasn't good for me, but it was, all of a sudden there was, like, this game that was like, oh man, I can shoot people and stuff, and not like I'm a big stature dude, so, like, I had a lot of injuries playing hockey, and started just messing around with my friends, and I went and actually played at a paintball field around 2003, and then I was like, man, I really like this, a lot, and it was just something about the way the competition was, and I played in the woods with my friends by my house a couple of times, but as soon as I went to a field, it was just like, man, it's this fast-paced thing, like, behind these inflatable things, this is crazy. And I was playing at actually Paintball Adventure Park, so, like, where the Revo guys are out of, and I started playing around 2003. Within the first few months of playing there, I almost got, like, fast-tracked, some of the guys at the field just took a liking to me, and then they was like, hey, come over here, we're going to show you you should be holding your gun and stuff. I was like, all right, okay.
Can't take you under their wing.
Yeah, and it was, like, right away, and then within a few months, there was there was this team that, they weren't too bad. They were called Nasty. So, yeah, they weren't a bad 10-man team or a Division I X-Ball team, and they actually asked me to their tryouts, and, like, I've only been playing paintball, like, 6 months, and I'm going to, like, a Division I team's tryouts, and then...
Really?
Yeah, and there was a guy named Derek Mitchell who actually played on the team, and he kind of took me under his wing, him, and there was another guy, Josh Trout, and, like, those guys went on to, like, Derek never played for Philly Americans. They'd printed a jersey for him. He went to their tryouts, they printed a jersey for him. He never ended up playing for him. Josh was asked to play with Miami Effect and stuff, and they were, the same Nasty I was playing in. They got whooped up on by, like, Dynasty and stuff, but like, they were playing at a top level. There was impulses made after them, the Nasty Shockers for them and stuff.
I remember the Nasty Impulse.
Yeah, they were a respectable team, and there was one guy, Richie Veet, really, I wouldn't say he really helped me as much on the paintball field as much as, man, he taught me some things and some stuff about just, life, but I still talk to him every day, and, like, they kind of just fast-tracked me, and then it just didn't work out. Like, I have a super low APPA number because they were like, hey, you're going to sign up, we play, these events, and...
So what year was this? Like, around what? Yeah.
About 2004, maybe? 2004, probably 2004. And they ended up reffing the first event, so they're like, there's no reason to send you. Well, then the next event, they had guys come back from the original Nasty team. They're like, listen, dude, we got these guys, we're trying to be better. Still need some time. It's like, alrighty. And then I was supposed to go play skyball with them. My parents were like, yeah, you got hockey that weekend. I was like, guess I'm not going to that. And then eventually I just told my parents, like, I kind of want to take this more seriously. Like, I don't want to be playing hockey. Like, I'm severely undersized. It's not going to take me anywhere. And I was like, I'd like to kind of play this some more, see what happens. And then Nasty ended up breaking up. And, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, I guess I'll talk to some other teams, and just kind of eventually me and one of my friends built a little Division III team with some guys. And I think it was 2004, 2005. The year that we decided to play Division III PSP. Well, it was a bad year to pick because same year with Aftermath, Tenman Effect, ECE, like, it was, that was a year of a who's who, like, that teams that came up, and all of a sudden, you're seeing those, you still see some of the top players in the world, the Goldsmith, I mean, Marcelo, those guys, they were playing Division III that year, and they pretty much, between them and Buddy Bauer's Tenman Effect, I mean, they pretty much won every event. Like,
Yeah.
it was just a solid year of paintball. But then, like, it kind of, for us, for me, I was like, oh man, I really like this. And then just had a buddy of mine that helped build that team moved up to Pennsylvania to go to school, and all of a sudden they're building this paintball park down the street. And he's like, oh man, there's this crazy place going on. Turned out to be Billy and Adam Gardner building All-American Paintball Park. So
yeah,
just not that bad of a facility to be there. And then
no, not at all.
He was just like, hey man, you should come up here and play. And I was still in school. I was like, I can't really do that. Like, eventually, and then like, I graduated high school, and he was like, hey man, I got this Division III team you can come up here and play with. He's like, you want to come up here? And he's like, you're gonna have to technically try out. And at the time, I was playing with Tremor and 7-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and he was playing with us on that too. He's like, you want to come up here? So I go up there, and amazing facility, and have practice with these guys one day, and I just happened to meet another dude, and me and him right away hit it off. And then our next thing I know, I'm playing the first Vegas event with them. That's probably in 2006. Playing Vegas with those guys with a little team called ECK.
Yeah.
And we had a good team, and just hit it off. And the one dude, me and him just played the snake side together the whole time, and he's doing pretty well for himself now. I mean, I can't really toot his horn. He's kind of he's got big, ego on him and stuff. But like, you've heard of him, Chad George.
I have. I think I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's got a huge ego. But he's actually downstairs right now. I hope he hears me.
Do you guys live together?
Yeah, me and him live together. Moorhead just moved out, but he's actually here right now too. But we all hang out pretty much every day. So
yeah.
But yeah, me and Chad actually met playing Division III together. Like,
oh, that's cool.
It was literally just random luck, and we both just hit it off. Like, it was just things clicked. It was like, oh, I see how you like to play. That's how I like to play.
Yeah.
All right, this matchup works well, and our Division III team did really well, and like, we were super highly funded. It was just a guy that he was independently wealthy, had a kid that really liked to play, and he fell in love with it, and he really took care of the team and everything. And I think the first event I played with him, we took like 5th, and the next thing it was like 3rd, 4th, 3rd, then like 2nd at World Cup, and like we had a good season, and that was 2006. And then 2007 they fast tracked us, and pretty much Tim Montresor, I decided, I was like, hey, I'm gonna probably just move up to Pennsylvania. I just want to play more.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, if you do, I'll get you a job at All-American Paintball Park. You can work, go to community college up there. I was like, hell yeah, man, why not, dude? Like,
no, so
like, I got nothing better going on.
So going back to when you were on a team that was well funded, but with like a lower division, like, do you think a lot of people kind of look for that when they're coming up? Is for that kid that has the rich parents that can fund the team, or if I
think it's becoming more popular too.
Yeah. Like
back then, like there was actually a lot. It seems like there was a lot more of that going on that just nobody knew about. Like, it was just, I know about a couple of teams that was literally like, oh, there's well funded and stuff. But like nowadays, it seems like because nobody on our team was really like, oh hell yeah. It was just like, I don't know. My buddy told me to come play on this team, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, it's fully funded. Like, oh, okay.
It makes the decision a lot easier.
Yeah, but nowadays I mean, I've worked in the industry and stuff, and it's like, once you're around long enough, you've seen it through probably years of it. People ask for a lot more nowadays.
Yeah.
You see it in these lower divisions where it's like, they're like, well, we want this and that for our team. It's like, who are you?
And that's the thing. It's like, you have to, you have to earn it. One, you definitely have to earn it, but you have to see it from the company's point of view, right? What are they going to benefit out of it? Because there's always got to be a give and take.
Yep, and like, back then it just seemed, and we talk about this all the time, just like me, Tim, Ryan, all this stuff, all those guys, like, we really feel it's a cultural thing. Just as the years go by, I mean, you look at it in any sport. Like, the fact there's participation trophies nowadays, like, it's stuff like that where it's like, everybody's like, well, why don't I get that? Why don't I get? And it's like, I moved away from home and figured out how to live on my own and stuff like that just because I wanted to play more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. And it was like, there were times me and Tim were like, oh, just want to go snap shooting right now instead of taking lunch.
Yeah.
I'm just snap shooting for an hour, and I took my beatings. Like, and it was like, once I moved up there, they were like, hey, you want to practice with Philly Americans a little bit? I was like, okay. There's days like the one Coach Graham would be like, son, just don't even go back in the snake. You just keep getting bunkers. Like, nah, man. Okay. What does that matter? I got to figure this out, man. Like, you don't see that as much anymore. Like, you don't see the mental tenacity of players anymore. Where, like, I mean, you know how it is. Like, the one thing you cannot train is a dude to go in there, get stuck in his ear, and go back out there and just go for it again. Like, you see these people get timid and like, we always call them scud misses. Like, dude, you just gotta be a scud. You gotta go down there, crawl to their snake, probably not even shoot anybody across the field, get bunkered, and just do it again. Like, it's an acquired. It's not even an acquired skill. Like, it's just something you either have it or you don't, man. Like,
so you like. Coming from a veteran pro like yourself and some others, do you think with some of these newer teams and some of these newer guys, like I kind of experimented with this a little bit the last event, but it's like just talking a little bit of shit like between each point, because what I've noticed, and it kind of got me psyched up for the game too, is like, as you cross each other on opposite sides, because we, each other point you cross. So as we're crossing, it's normally looking straight ahead or looking down at the ground, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Why isn't there more shit talking like at our level? And I kind of took it in my hands.
Cultural.
And I'm like, you know what? I was like during the X Factor game, like I kind of gave a little shit to Archie a little bit. I kind of gave a little shit to Grayson a little bit, just to kind of like fuck it, just turn it on. Like, it kind of made me feel a little bit better, because I felt like I was maybe getting in their head a little bit.
Yep.
Instead of...
See, I like stuff like that. Like, and I'm not... You've known me for years, dude. Like, I'm pretty quiet stuff, but like...
Yeah.
I have, like, when it comes to competition, I love stuff like that. It's like, I have no problem. There, like, 2 minutes, if you want later, we'll still go get a beer together. Like, I'm not saying I want to go fishing with the man. Like, I'm just saying, right now, you're trying to take food off my plate. Like, that's how it is. So
just
like,
walk by. I'm gonna find you on the field and put two in your ear, motherfucker.
Yep. And like, well, there's all the time people like, oh, look, and be like, oh, okay. And then, like, like, people be like, they'll not, like, I nod my head a lot of people where I'm like, oh, okay, I just see what happened. Okay. Mental note thing. I mean, I grew up playing hockey. It's like, all right, that's just, you gotta take his number. Like, you take his number, and I'm gonna find you on this next shift. Like, I'm gonna find you. And like, that's just how it was. And I mean,
at the hockey level. Yeah, I
was dirty.
Dude, well, I compare paintball. Like, I've never played hockey in my life, and I've always wanted to play hockey. I thought I would have been, this is just me talking, but I thought I would have been a decent hockey player. And I compare a lot of paintball to hockey. Just how like the offense and defense change so quickly and so often.
Well, that's what I always said, is it's the mental chess game that's going on at such a high pace that it's ever evolving. It's you never can say like things are going too well, because it's in a split second things can change. You have to be able to change gears, and it's like you see these players where like expect, like, for paintball aspect, it's like they have one speed, and if it doesn't go well, they're like, what is going on? It's like they don't have this field of vision for the big picture. And it's like, you got to understand, like, hockey, it's like you see these dudes, like, they can see plays develop before it even happens. Like, I mean,
just with one pass.
And it's like a dude like Archie, you see it as he's playing. He, like, how fast he's seeing the whole outcome of the game before it's happening, and that's why people like that make these split-second decisions.
The right decisions
that win these games, and they've already figured out plan A, B, and C before anything's happened, because they're going to make a decision based off. I mean, there's times, you shoot at somebody. They shoot back at you? Do you roll off? Do you gunfight them? Do you just go in and say, hey, turn and shoot this way, and you try to get them that way? It's like these players already have each one of those scenarios picked out, and a lot of times they're doing it based on who's on the other end. And it's, these teams that are coming up don't have that ability yet, let alone, you can watch film in paintball of like a guy every day, But to actually play against him, like, you don't really know how his gunfighting is going to be, his decision making. Like, it's not. That's one unfortunate thing about paintball is you can't really watch film and really get a great grasp for it.
No, I think that's for kids now, I guess that's the first step, right? Watch the webcast. You can kind of sort of get a feeling on what the players are thinking, why they're shooting a certain way, but you can't, so it's kind of like a 50-50. The second step would be actually going to maybe a practice or an event and getting your nose, I always say this, get your nose to the net and watch the player that you would like to watch, or watch a team.
Look at what he did and then go, try to think, why'd that work? And if you're not sure, try it.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I always say, like, at events, when you're watching something, try it. There's a reason that the game eventually developed where everybody holds the gun the same. Like, it's little things like that where it's like people continuously watch other people and say, well, that clearly works the best. There's a reason why when you see like pro finals games, pro Sundays, the teams are all playing the field the exact same.
Yeah.
It works. That's what you have to do, and then the margin of error just becomes smaller. But it's one of those things where, like, you see somebody do something on a field that worked for them, try it.
Yeah.
There's a reason it worked, but figure out how it's going to work for you, and if it's going to consistently work. It's like, and I think nowadays it's just, I've always said the person I want on my team is not the person that's like, already, I shot 4 of them. I mean, what the hell? You guys couldn't shoot another one? It's like, no, I want the guy that goes, man, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't close that out. Like, it's like personal ownership is probably the best thing you can have in paintball.
Oh, yeah.
It's all you have to do is be able to look somebody in the eye and be like, man, I messed up. Because if you recognize where you messed up then, and you're willing to fix it, people that point fingers or go, why did you guys all die around me? No, that means you're just going to go out there and wait for everybody to die around you again.
Yep. You're growing as a person. Like, once you start taking on that responsibility and that self reliance, you start building that confidence in yourself, and that's what we need across the board and that's what you see a lot. And why guys are in the sport in the position that they are is because they have that and they've developed that over the years.
Yep. And they don't want to make the same mistakes. And if you don't mentally recognize it, you're not gonna fix it. And it's it's what I hate the most watching divisional. Like, I watch these dudes come off like, I was the last one, why'd you guys die around me? It's like, no, dude, you have to evolve with the point and tell you the truth. Now your job's to shoot all 5.
Well, that's a great saying, evolve with the point, because the point is ever evolving.
Oh yeah, that's what I'd always, especially last year. I mean, I coached last year, so it's like, just tell guys when, like, somebody be upset about something, like, dude, evolve with it. Evolve with the point. If your job now becomes the front guy, become the best front guy you can be. Like, if you have to do this, do it the best you can. It's like, don't just say, oh, well, why didn't we do this? Like, it's evolve with the point and continuously do what has to be done to go in the right direction. I mean, I've always said, like, I don't consider myself one of the best players, but one of the things I do consider myself is good at making sure things go well for my team as the point progresses.
Right.
And it's, if I have to become the front guy, if I have to hold for a little bit, if I have to just say, literally, hey, Chad, just sit down the wire, calm down. We have to wait things out for a while. It's whatever you can do to help your team. And it's a lot of people, I just don't think realize, hey, man, sometimes the best thing to do for you right then is just sit there. Yeah. And it's those little things that just make sure you win the point.
See, but I think that's the tough part, right? I think that's the part that we have developed, and we've been able to, I don't want to say conquer, because there's always a back and forth battle of who does it better, but I think that decision right there of whether to push or to stall is so much easier said than done. And I feel like it's easy for us to sit here and say, well, because we consciously know, and we've done it, thousands of times, is we know to sit in a spot or we know to push in a spot. But, for a divisional guy coming up, or even a semi-pro guy, and be like, well, man, I really had that feeling like I should have pushed. And then the guys on this team are like, yeah, man, why did you push when it was like it possibly could have been a good move, except right at the last minute the guy was shooting this way and he just happened to head check and see him and catch him. So it's like it's real tough to ball that up. Yeah,
and like that's one of the things. Like Tim Montress was one of the guys that would tell me this, because I mean spent a lot of time with the guy over the years, and like he'd always be like, man, you know why like people like Brett Favre, Tom Brady, and all those guys are so good? Because they'd throw an interception, walk back to the bench, and the coach would be like, "What the hell was that?" I'd be like, "I don't know, man. I thought I saw it." And like it's like
exactly.
Then they go back out there, and next thing you know, they're making a game-winning play, and you're like, But that's also one of the things. Like it comes with that mental tenacity of being okay with making your mistake, just not doing it again. Going, alrighty, man. I see where I messed up, but I thought I had it for a second. It's cool, but
not being afraid. Or not being so naive that thinking that it won't happen again, because it will. But it's you want to make that gap between mistakes, grow. So and that's because I make plenty of mistakes on the paintball field, but you have to have that balance, and I feel like I've kind of have sort of that balance, and you just can't let one outweigh the other. I mean, really.
And what I've always said was, no matter what, there's one thing in paintball that I don't think people really realize is how much time you have. Take a deep breath. It's better to figure out what's going on than just make some rash decision.
Yeah.
Just take a second. I've always said I'd rather win a match 1-0 than lose 17-16. I don't care about how fast you win the point. Just win it. Yeah. Just win the point.
If I was on the second line, I'd be kind of down. I'd be like, man, I kind of want to win that.
Yeah, I'd be like, I thought I had the next one, but
I'd let you have that one. You guys should have that first one. Well, I'll take the win. Oh, okay.
Or I'd be like, man, you guys look tired. I get the whole next match now.
Yeah,
like that's just something I just think people are too. It's especially the way. I mean, you've played it for years too, and you've played things like CXBL and like the 2-half style stuff. It's like. Back then, it was like, man, you just try to run at people, and you're like, hey, man, if it didn't work, I get a chance to do it again. Like nowadays, it's like with the time frames, the way the players have evolved and become so much better, even at the lower levels. It's like the margin of error is so low that it's like, man, I want a Millennium event 1-0.
That's crazy.
The finals match, we won 1-0, and it was like, well, that's pretty. I shot 13 pods at this little cone thing, and it was just like. All right, dudes. It's good. Nothing over here. Like, and it was funny because it was me and Montressor's team versus Damien and Brad McCurley. Like they were playing on a team, and like after we met over, it was like, man, that seriously happened. That was a 1-0 match. We're like, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Like and I just think, and it's you don't need to make these rash decisions, man. Like, and
as silly as it sounds, Tenman kind of made me maybe almost like kind of rethink of how I'm gonna play in the next event. Just because, like, okay, so Tenman, 5 more guys you got to worry about. There's now 10 guns on the field instead of just 5, and there's that many more bunkers that you have to check off, and the field is that much bigger. And I look at him like, dude, I have so much time. But I have so much more responsibility because there are so many more things that I need to do before I get to Plan Z at the end of the game. So, I mean, it'd be
you've literally doubled the variables. Like it's insane. But like, man, I think Tenman's just so awesome because it's like, man, you really, man, the moves that can be made and like everything. Like it's such a cool dynamic to the game. And like when the fields are that big, it's like. Man, it feels like that dude just ran for like a solid minute just to make it somewhere. Like it looks so insane. I
was running to this last event in Dallas. I was running to the right 50 off the break, like at least 3-4 times. It was minutes.
It probably felt like forever.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Like me and out here in Pittsburgh now. They're Tim Montresor and some guys are holding a 10-man mechanical event.
The Iron City Open, right?
City. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We went out there and played on the Hyperball field a couple weeks ago because like old Spesh Robinson, Todd Hugo, like Hans Simmelsberger.
They were out at the one in Chicago.
Oh yeah, well they wanted to practice for that. So me and Tim went out and played on this hyperball field against them with like Billy Gardner and his son, and like it's just like we had 3 dudes with pump guns on our team and stuff, and like it was so crazy because the way Tenman is and like how big the fields are, and like especially with the mechanical guns, it's like you really don't have the complete firepower at all times. And literally me, Tim, and Billy brought a, what was it, like an 8-on-3? We brought it down to a 2-on-2.
Oh jeez.
And it's but because the fields are so wild, and it's like you can kind of get pretty creative.
You can catch people sleeping.
Yep, and like to me, I'm like, man, I'm surprised this 10-man thing doesn't take off more, because like you're looking at it and you're like, man, I feel like in the long run, since you have more guys, I mean, it sounds bad to say, but like the demographic of what paintball is right now isn't really the best as an industry.
We're trying to find that though. It's like, and it's like I've said this before. It's like every time we change something, it's an experiment because we haven't. I don't think we've figured it out yet. We're still trying to figure it out.
When you look at it, most of the paintball players right now that are coming into it and trying to play competitively and stuff, the demographic is these school kids or young college people, and it's where's their funding coming from? They don't really have the means to really be doing it consistently or fund a team or really do any of this stuff. It's like you need to open up the competitive side to the guys that realistically do have the funds, and it's going to be an older demographic. And I feel like
it used to be.
Yep, and like, well, that's what I was thinking, because we played, obviously, it was me, Tim, and Billy, and then like 3 dudes with pump guns, and like we had this ridiculous mishmash of people. Like, I swear some of them had never even played paintball before and stuff, and we were competing with these dudes that, I mean, Spesh, Todd, Hans, Phil, like all those guys, Danny Manning, like Danny Manning from Trauma Head Sports, like
man,
like we played them, and those dudes can still play 10-man at a high level.
Oh yeah, they can ball, and
we could hold them out and stuff just with a couple of talented guys. But Billy hasn't picked up a paintball gun probably played in like 5, 6, 10 years. He was wearing a remote line. I cannot make this up. And he was holding it like a pistol.
Yeah.
And telling me and Tim how fast he could switch side to side. And we're like, Billy, you're not switching hands. You're just turning 180.
Doesn't matter. Faster.
But he wasn't a hindrance on the team. It's like those are the type of people that put money into industries like this. But Billy is not going to play some X-ball these days. It's just not possible. And it's like, so you've kind of cut them out of an industry that, I mean, he still loves it. I still see him at the factory every week. But it's not like he can play competitively anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I wish we could find this happy medium of being able to have fast players with maybe some not so fast players. And I used to love 7-man.
I love 7-man.
But it was like the players did develop to become too good. But maybe if the fields got bigger with more bunkers, kind of like where the NXL's doing these 10-mans, what happens? Like, we don't know yet, because like you were saying, we haven't tried enough. But it's like, I've wondered, what would 7-man be like on the field that size?
Yeah. Pretty interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like you can make more moves, but at the same time, these smarter players could also hold things out probably pretty well. Because it's a couple less players for them to mentally calculate, and so it's like, what would happen? What would happen?
Yeah.
And like, I would like to see all these things tried. And like me and Tim talk about it all the time, because we're like, I mean, he works for DLX and GOG and everything, and so like, he has a master's degree and he's too smart, but I mean, you know Tim, he's an intelligent guy. So like, but we talk about these industry things like that, and it's like, what would happen? Like, and so we'd like to see like, what would happen with this? And I think I want to see what can happen, because obviously, I mean, you've been in it probably longer than I have of paintball. It's like, where can this really go? Like, what's the best for it? Like,
well, that's the unknown. I mean, that's the unknown, which I'm sure we'll eventually get to. But look, we kind of got off track a little bit. I want to go back.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go back to. So you were on a team with Chad, and you started playing. And what team was that?
ECK.
It was ECK, and then who and when was the first pro run that came along, and how did it come along?
Oh man, it was literally when I moved up to Pennsylvania. I started playing with Punishers Paintball, and they literally took everybody from the ECK team. There was not everybody. They took about 5 of us, and all the kids that basically played every point for ECK. Tim was like, "Hey, I'm trying to rebuild Punishers and make a really good Division 1 team. Would you guys be interested?" So they literally pretty much they cut pretty much everybody from Punishers, brought the 5 of us up, held a tryout, and then team picked up some pretty decent players. And Drew Heyer came and played for the team back when he was playing with like Infamous. Chad Hytella, who played on like Evil Factory.
Yeah, Chad.
Nick Napolitano, who played on who did he play for? Shock. He played a little bit with Tauntauns. He's another Detroit guy. I mean, Jason Trozen played a couple events with us. Spesh played an event with us. Like we actually had and then we had Danny Benitez played the whole year with us. Like we actually had a really good team. And Chad, that was the year Chad had the option. He could either go to Philly and maybe not play at all, or go and play for Punishers and just learn some more. And he said, I want to take my chances with Philly. So in 2006, he went and played for Philly. And then a bunch of us played on Punishers. And then 2007. Yeah, 2007 he went and did that. Then 2008, Punishers fell apart. It was just not enough guys were really committing, and you could tell that their heart wasn't in it, but they were still doing it because they were either getting a good ride on the team or something. And it was just like, and Tim was taking care of the team and kind of coaching it and stuff. And he was just
did Farkas play with you guys?
He was going to the next year.
Oh.
So he went through all the tryouts and he was going to play with us. But then when some of the other guys, like, there wasn't enough guys that were committed.
Right.
Like, you could tell they were just doing it to do it, and it wasn't like they were going to put in the effort to try and actually make it a competitive winning team. Tim's like, yeah, we're just not doing this. He's like, you guys have more sponsorship than a lot of teams out there. And he's like, you just don't
taking
even
it
care
for granted.
to work for it. Yeah, and it was like, so he pulled the plug, and then I went and played with TPA, and played Division 2 with TPA, and then Philly had tryouts, and then they ended up picking up Duder from Trauma. And unfortunately, Duder just, at the second event of the year, Duder just wasn't feeling it anymore and decided to leave the team. And I'd been practicing with Philly at every practice, and they've just been bringing me up and just basically grooming me. And then the third event, they were like, "Hey, Duder, we have an extra roster spot. We're gonna bring you on." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, easy, easy, yes.
Yeah, I was like, that works. And like, because before they had said, and it was kind of Adam Gardner looking out for me. I mean, played when I moved up here, started playing hockey with Adam and stuff, and a little bit before that, he's like, they thought about, instead of picking up Duder, put me on the roster and stuff. But he's like, Adam basically said, he's like, I don't want it to not work out, and then your ranking make it so you can't really play with anybody else. He's like, I just don't want to do that to you. He's like, I want to make sure that we don't do
So he's
this
looking out for you.
Yeah, and like that's what I can never say enough good things about Adam. Like he's one of my favorite people, and and I was just like, I completely understand that. I was like, I mean, it's your team, so I'm not going to tell you like what am I supposed to say to you? But like, and I understood. I was like, I'm just going to keep on working for it, and when you tell me I'm ready, I'm ready. Then like that's, I mean, obviously that's, and I think that's just something that's not really done correctly in paintball anymore. It's just, I just don't think. I think too many kids are just like, no, I'm ready. You just don't know I'm ready. It's like,
right.
No, man. And like then when they, the first few events, I really didn't. I mean, the first event I actually played a decent amount in Chicago. Like it was just a good field for me, and and then the next event, I don't even know if I played a point. I don't even know if I played a point the next event or the next event or the next.
So was this
event.
the first time that you met Federoff? Was it when he was playing for Philly?
No, I first met him when he came to Philly. And since I was working at the paintball park, he had a visa that allowed him to be over for a while, so he would come and stay for like a month or two at a time. And I mean, Tim basically employed me to like sit in a room and teach him Photoshop, but it was more just me teaching him English. So like I've literally I probably spent more time with Federoff than anybody in America. Like it was just I literally sat in a room with him almost every day, 5 days a week. The whole time he would be here, I'd hang out with him every day.
Yeah.
And so like so me and him, like we've literally just known each other for so long now that like we spent so many man hours together. It was like, when the whole Heat thing happened, people were like, oh, you've kind of played with Federoff before. I was like, I know I got pretty well. Like, I mean, taught him a lot of English. Like, it's not easy to teach somebody Photoshop, so you had to start with English, work your way into that. Like, it was just funny, like, and he was he dealt with some cultural things when he first came over. It was just, I mean, Russia's a little bit different. I mean, like things like sarcasm. I mean, he didn't really get that at first. Like it's not.
And we're full of.
Yeah, and like there's times he'd be like, "Why you say this?" And you'd be like, well, "You don't get it? It's a joke." He's like, "No, why would you say this?" I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Like he used to say, like he's like, "I like my blue jersey, my pink gun, and my yellow bike." Because he likes riding motorcycles. We're like, dude, so what you're saying is you'd be in heaven wearing your blue jersey, holding your pink gun, riding your yellow bike. And he's like, why would you say this? Why would you say this? Make no sense. Why would I do this? And we were like, all right, he clearly doesn't get it. Like, obviously, us being us, we messed with him the whole time about it. And he got upset. But, like, nowadays, I mean, I swear that's all he does is sarcasm. So it's like one of those things. But, like, the Philly thing really taught me, like, a lot about, I mean, nothing was earned. Like, I mean, nothing was given with that. Like, it was literally like I kept my mouth shut, dude. Like, there was probably like 4 events straight that I might have played 1 point each event. Never once was I like, man, why didn't you guys give me more points? It's like
you understood your role.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm the new guy, dude. Like, this is not how it works. Like, man, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. And eventually, World Cup came around, and it was a field layout that was working for me. I played a lot, and we ended up taking second. I mean, we had the match. It was playing Russian Legion. I mean, the first, and that back then it was awesome. It was 2 out of 3. You had to win 2 out of 3 matches, and first match we won. Next match, we got a whooping. We got a whooping in the second one. It might have been like 7-0, and like. And they did that. I mean, there might have been like 5 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then the next one, it was a closer game. They ended up winning, and it was like that was 2 years in a row of Philly. And then the team, fell apart after that. But it was like the stuff that I learned there. Like, man, I could never replace that. Like,
who do you think taught you the most, or who did you learn from the most?
It was kind of a combination, like. Between probably Montresor's been bringing me up for years, so like can't thank him enough. And then honestly, like Moorhead taught me a lot. Like at one point after the first year, they told me like, dude, you gotta become a Dorito player. I was like, I've never played in a Dorito before in my life. Like, well, literally only played the Snake because everybody just said you're small, go in there.
Right.
You gotta become a Dorito player. I was like, oh, okay. Like I gotta learn this now. And like. But, like, a lot of those guys, like, Jason Edwards was another one that, like...
That kid's nasty.
I loved the way he played. Like, he does some unexplained things where you're like, holy shit. Like,
he plays with a lot of confidence. That's what...
A lot of confidence, and it's... Man, he was the first one that I really watched. I was like, I'm going to stand out in the middle of nowhere and kind of do this, and then, okay, I'm going to run back. And, like, I'm like, man, that was crazy. That was pretty cool to see. And, like, so I really liked that. And it was like... they had, unfortunately, well, fortunate for me, but it's hard to pinpoint people because it's like, man, that team literally did have so many guys on it that, like, but, I mean, Fatty was another one. Like, Craig Doherty was, he was probably one of the best X-players there was. And, like, just seeing the way he would play it and stuff, and, I learned a lot. And, I mean, again, Chad was only on Philly for a little bit, but I learned a lot from him being there. Like, it's, seeing each one of those guys' styles. And, like, I mean, another guy that I learned some things that remember Ross O'Rourke?
It sounds familiar.
He played, like, strange stuff. Ross was, like, one of the most ridiculous players that you're like, is this guy serious right now? Like, is he serious? Like, he ran all goofy, and he'd be like holding his gun on his waist and, like, looking another way and be like, oh yeah, shot that guy. And you're like, what was that? And, like, but he was like somebody that, like, when I watched him, and it's kind of like, you really were just shooting from the hip and looking that way. He's like, well, yeah, I was holding that lane and I knew nobody was gonna go through it, so I was checking that off to see if my guy was alive. It was like, oh yeah, you're right. You don't have to be looking where you're shooting. Like, you can do these things. And, like, it was just, there were so many guys that had so many. It was a team of completely different styles that fortunately worked so well together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I learned so many different aspects at one time that it was like, all right, I guess, and you start to just form your own style then out of it. And, like,
oh yeah,
and unfortunately it was a great organization that embraced it. They were like, figure out how you're going to do this, man. And it's, yeah, they're helping you the whole way, but it was also a team that you had to be pretty mentally strong to handle, because I mean, there's times, Tro would, like, throw his clipboard at you or, like, stuff like that, and he'd be like, I don't even know why you're out here. You might as well just go sit on the bench right now and watch everybody else, and hopefully you'll learn something. Like, you took your mental and physical beatings, but it was like, it made you such a stronger player in the
character
long run.
building.
And that's all it was. And, like, it was, man, there were some times like, I don't even know if I want to show up to practice tomorrow. Like, I just took a beating. Like, but it was like, you took it and you went, well, I guess, it was going to wipe the slate clean, say, I just got to do it better tomorrow. Or I can pout about it and, have another bad day. It just, had to learn how to mentally get over that hump.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, once, it was a terrible feeling when, Adam finally told us Philly was no more. Like, that was one where I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? No,
kind of an unreal, like.
Yeah, you were like, well, no, you sure about that? And, like, it just, he wanted to make it happen, but it just,
Was it financial?
It was a financial. Obviously, a lot of people offered to, like, keep it going and stuff, but it wouldn't have been Philly if it wasn't Adam's team. Like, and eventually, with the way a lot of things were looking and stuff, people were trying to help, but it wouldn't have been Adam's team. It would have kind of been their team that they were, and so it's just one of those things that, and I don't blame Adam one bit for doing that. Like, it's, it's Adam's team. Like, that's,
everybody has their reasons.
Yeah, and, like, well, when it's Philly Americans, like, that's, Adam and Billy built that out of their parents' garage. Like, that's, it's not just like they were like a couple guys that were like, hey, let's start a little club, and all of a sudden it started doing well. It's like, man, the whole thing came out of their parents' garage. It's like,
And for those who don't know, they're also Smart Parts.
Yes, that's, they literally started that in their parents' garage, making a barrel, and then built it up, and that was Adam's team. And so I was like, I don't blame you. And then, went back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
That was, and of course, another, me and Tim were sitting there, and he's like, what do you think you're going to do? I was like, I have no idea what I'm about to do. It's like, and he's like, I'm looking at, he's like, I'm talking to some teams, and
you're still working for the field at the time, right?
Yeah. Yep. And, I'm still working with the field, and it was still open for a little bit longer than Smart Parts was. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was like, okay, don't know who I'm going to play for, what, there's nothing really around these parts that are really that high level, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And I talked to a couple of people, and eventually, slowly but surely, some of the guys from the team slowly went off to other teams. Chad decided to go to Dynasty. Moorhead went to Impact. Son DeBillis just wasn't sure what he was going to do. Neither was Pat Roberts, went and played for Vicious. Like, Jason Edwards went back to Damage. It's like everybody was kind of drifting in their own ways, and then eventually at the end it was me, Son, and Tim that we had waited it out, and Tim had talked to Psalm and was like, what's going on with the Shock thing, and they had some negotiations, and they ended up taking all three of us to Shock. And so, and for me and Tim, it was like a 6-hour drive out to the Badlands. And so, we're like, yeah, we can do that. We'll drive out and stuff. And Tim and Rennick and Psalm had worked a bunch of stuff out to make it work for everybody. And, went and played with them for a little bit. And then after the first event, Son decided, he was going to do some other ventures in life. And things didn't work out with Pat Roberts and Vicious. So all of a sudden, Pat's going to Chicago to try out. And I mean, can't say enough about Pat Roberts. It's one of the funniest human beings alive, probably. And he saw him, and at the time they just loved him. They're like, yeah, we're gonna have this guy on the team. He's pretty sweet. We're like, all right, yeah. So they brought
just
Pat
for team morale.
Like, oh yeah, I mean, he's a good player, but man, if you want some team morale, he's gonna bring it. He's a funny guy, and and that whole time with Shock, that was a weird experience. That's I just went from a team that was an industry team that was highly taken care of, and we were doing so well, to all of a sudden going to Shock, and it was like, it was just a completely different vibe. It was, and also I only really knew Tim. I knew nobody else on the team, and I'd known everybody when I went to Philly. I'd already known them for a long time, and it was like, it was just such a different atmosphere. And then just the way they ran themselves as a team was, I mean, that was a learning curve for me. Like, it was, and at the time, I don't even think a single one of them even knew that I played for Philly. They just thought they were picking up some other random dude. Like, it was just, so I was like, alrighty, and I had my own views of how the game should be played, and they had their own. Like, that was probably like one of the biggest learning curves I've ever had in paintball. Like, and it was, I mean, it definitely helped me, and we had a good season. The first season was Shock. I mean, first event we took third, and then all of a sudden we took second at World Cup and stuff, and that was probably one of the biggest shocks to the paintball world, is the fact that Aftershock took second at World Cup. I mean, we took a beating by the Russians.
Yeah.
I think it was like 7-0. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean.
So you were with them for what? Just the year?
I played that year with them, and then the next year I played just half the season. It was and that was kind of the start of Heat, was the next year, because it was a complete fluke, but me and a bunch of the Shock guys were going up to Canada to play CXBL, and we were playing under Sarge, and he just wanted to bring up a bunch of the Shock guys, because he was he had lived in Chicago, was living in Canada, he had a CXBL team, and they also had their distortion team for the PSPs at the time, and like, he's like, yeah, you guys want to come up here and take care of you and stuff. Like, alrighty. And my biggest thing was that we committed to play all the CXBL events with them and stuff, and then before the New Jersey event that year, we knew that everybody knew the CXBL was the weekend before the PSP, and Sarge had offered to give everybody to bring all of Aftershock up to Canada, and said, we'll bring all of you guys up. We'll also give you. He's like, I'll take care of you guys' paint. You guys can practice distortion the whole time while you're up here, but I want to make sure that these guys that are on my roster come up and play.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of the guys just said they weren't coming, and there was some other stuff that happened where guys just were like, yeah, we're not going.
Yeah.
And I was like, I told this guy I was gonna go. I was like, I understand, but I was like, we've known this is coming up, like, and the only people that's kind of said that were me and Yaya. We're like, no, we're still showing up, and and after that, it kind of built a trust with Sarge. Like, he was like, no, these guys are actually like some loyal dudes. They're like, I mean, they kind of
give you your word.
Yeah, we basically got cut from Aftershock for it. And it was, and I understand. I was like, that's fine. If that's the way you see it, that's fine. Like, it's just, I know who I am. This is what I'm going to do. Like, and it was what it was. And then I decided I just played the New Jersey event with Assault, who was, another PAP team, and played with those guys for the event, because I still wanted to play the event. And me and, I coached the Distortion team for the event, and then for World Cup as well. Yeah. And after that kind of happened before New Jersey, so I was just like, I've been thinking about, maybe building a pro team, we'll talk about this. And, then me and him and Yaya just kept on going on with these discussions. And then more and more it just kind of became this serious thing where it was like, okay, well, we're gonna do this, who should we talk to? What should we? And we started. I mean, we just basically sat down at the drawing board and we're like, I mean, we had a list of names of people we wanted to talk to. I mean, if you saw that list from when it started to what happened with the actual roster we had, I don't even know if any of those people were even on that list. Like, it just.
So what year was it? Was this 2012?
Yeah, it was the 2011 it was when, me and Yaya weren't worth the shock anymore, and then we, we're working on it, and then in the off season, man, I bet you almost every day we would have either me and Sarge would talk, or me and Yaya would talk, or we'd have a 3-way call, and we'd spend almost a couple hours a day in the off season discussing it and working it out with what players, what sponsorships, like, how do we want to go about this and everything, and like, we took it pretty seriously because we were like, we didn't want to just build something to build it. Like, we wanted to build something that, like, we actually wanted. Like, we wanted something that was like...
that would work.
Well, it wasn't only that. It's like one of Sarge's biggest things. I mean, on that list, he kept on being like, I just don't know if that guy's personality fits in.
Right.
And, like, it was just more... Because he hadn't been around... I mean, obviously, he hadn't been around as long as we had, but... he trusted us on like who's good and who's not, and he had his own opinions on some players he wanted. So, and then there was other ones where he's like, we were like, oh, we kind of want this guy. He's like, something about him, I just don't know if he fits in personality wise. And he kept on, and a lot of the things he tried to bring up were personality and how he'd fit off the field and stuff like that. And there were times where I was like, man, that guy's just good. So, like, I mean, come on. Like, what does it matter? Okay, like, we can deal with a little bit of a rough edge sometimes. It was just like, and sometimes he just didn't want to. But, it was a crazy experience because, I mean, to see what it is now is just insane to me. And like, we had so many back and forths on like how many things. Like, I'd be out to dinner with some of the guys here, and then I get a phone call, and all of a sudden I'd be standing outside for 3 hours on the phone. They'd be like, seriously? I'd be like, man, we're working on something, man. Like, there was times that people would be like, you guys really think you're going to be doing this? And it's because you just never know if we were actually going to go with it. I mean, a lot of people didn't know who Sarge was. They didn't know if he was really going to pull the trigger and do it. And like, and so there was a lot of guys that were on the list of names that, they're still huge name players, but they were in on the ground floor of being talked to, and since they just didn't know Sarge, they were like, I don't really know if I just don't know him, so I don't know if I can trust him. It's really going to happen. And the crazy thing is like, Federoff, it was literally just this, like, hey, like, I think Yaya hit him up first, and they had never met. Federoff just took a leap of faith. Sarge had got him tickets to come out for this first practice that we were going to have with all the guys that we had eventually figured out with. They showed up. I mean, they could have just as easily not got on. They had never met him face to face, anything. Just had some Skype talks, and next thing you know, they're at a first practice. It was like they took a leap of faith, and it worked out. And
Trozen called me at the end of the 13.
Yeah, like and
I was like, wow, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, and like it's crazy because like the teams, like a lot of people would be like, oh, they try to buy player stuff, but like there's a lot of times like when people hear about like how things go and stuff, they're literally like, oh, I didn't think it'd be like that. Like, it's a lot of the guys were just, it was a leap of faith. Like, I mean, I didn't even know. I didn't even know if I was going to be on a professional paintball team. Like, it was because I wasn't, and all of a sudden we're building this. Like, it's and the kind of one of the crazy things about the team is how many people have done it. I mean, in the beginning, Sarge wasn't telling anybody who was on the roster, and he was just trying to get sponsors who wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
And it was, I mean, there were some industry people that kind of knew, but like, I walked into Adam Gardner's office and was like, hey, we're trying to build something. I love the Lux. I just always have. Like, Adam, I mean, literally when I got cut from Shock, I went into his office and bought a Lux. Like, it was like, all right, I guess I don't have to use this thing anymore. But then when I walked in, I was like, hey, we're trying to build this team. Well, when he's like, yeah, I like you guys, and he's like, I know you, so, and I guess, yeah, I'll help you guys out a little bit. We don't really have any teams, like,
Nice.
and that's how it was. It was just walked in, and it was just like, Adam's like, yeah, I'll help you guys out. And
Mm-hmm.
so Sarge has always been, like, thankful, because he's like, there was other people that were like, no, we're not really going to help you out. And he was like, just the people that really took a leap of faith, he really appreciated. And I mean, that's not something easy to do in this industry.
No,
like
no.
I mean, it's a small industry, and I mean, there's other people out there that will probably, what the return on investment's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know
exactly.
the roster. You don't even know the roster. You're like, really? You're going to ask me for that much? And so, like, it was just fun because, like, some people, I mean, a lot of people didn't know what the roster was going to be.
So now that it's the monster that it is, let's go to the Dallas event. Yeah. Let's because you're on the team, you guys are doing really well. Both, Millennium and here. What in Dallas clicked for you guys on that field? Was it, I mean, were certain guys playing well, or was it just kind of the whole team was playing well? And that's because when I went back and watched it, I noticed a lot of guys were getting spins. Like, it was kind of being switched around.
It was a good layout for our team because we have a good combination of guys that can kind of play different roles, and we have a lot of options right now. Like, that field layout really lets you kind of experiment with things. Like,
it was a cool field.
Played it, yeah. I mean, we played it pretty safe on the snake side, but other than that, like, playing up like the middle and the Dorito side, I mean, you can get pretty creative over there.
Mm-hmm.
And we tended to try and play the field pretty safe, and we're firm believers on playing 5-on-5. We like playing 5-on-5. We'd like to shoot bodies off the break, but if we don't, we feel confident in our 5 against your 5. And so it's more about not trying to give them bodies, and then we'll work our way out of positions, and we'll work our way out. And the guys that we had, like, I mean, Ronnie didn't really have to make many big moves on that Dorito side. He was playing well, and wherever he was at, he wasn't having to try and run down the field and kill people. He was doing a good job of talking and being like, hey, man, that guy's going to go. And, like, some of the guys really stepped up on evolving how they play to kind of help the team, and it was really clicking. I mean, the only guy that I think I can say the whole event that I was like, man, he's just having an event was Sergey. I mean, he played really well up the middle. And the biggest thing was, I mean, it wasn't as much as he was going up there, standing up top, getting a kill, then running through, and then trying to shoot 1 or 2 people. It was, he did it at timely fashions, and it allowed other players to play off the chaos up there to make these moves out and stuff.
Right.
And yes, maybe he might have not even gotten a kill or something, but you open it up for your team, that's just as valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've always said it's unfair. I want to play in a league where nobody can stand over the W, since I can't stand over the W. It's so hard to judge if the guy's going to come over the top, like where it's going to be. And so for us, we don't really have tall players, and that was a W that if you could stand over the top, you could slow down both sides, because there's the what if. Is he standing in that little spot where I couldn't see? And there's
a lot of head checks.
There's some of those fields where, like, he's never going to be shooting at the Drew side because it's blocked out by this, so he knows he can't be shooting in here.
There's such a good lane on this side.
Yeah, like, that was one that you're just like, it's anybody's guess, man, already. I guess, do I roll the dice? Do I wait it out? And, like, and he did a good job up there because, I mean, he's probably our only player tall enough to shoot over the top. So, like, it was like, alrighty, and I mean, I'd like to just put him on the Dorito side if I could and let him just go to town, because he's good at gun battling, good at going and stuff, but he really took the role and ran with it. And I thought he was having such an amazing event that it was opening it up for everybody else. Like, and that's, again, just another intangible where you're like, yeah, man, you see these guys, okay, they ran down, they shot a bunch of people, but that only lasts so long.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to do that, you do it every once in a while, it looks good, but you're still doing those other times where maybe you didn't shoot people, but when it opens it up for everybody, and it was a good field for us for that, because, like, I mean, you guys saw it, like, we didn't run anywhere on the snake side.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we actually joked about it where we were like, first game against Damage, let's just run Chad to the snake off the break, because we haven't done that at all. We
Yeah.
haven't done it one point this event. Let's just go for it, man. What happened? Or whatever. Then we never did it again. We're like, we
Yeah,
don't
I
do
thought
that.
our game was pretty damn close.
Oh yeah, no,
I mean-
that was it was, and it was like, and it was one of those matches where it's the score didn't reflect how tight the points were.
Yeah.
Like it was just one body here or there, one ball here or there was the difference in almost every point, and that's those are the types of matches. And I think what's crazy is just because the way our team style is and the way your team style is, it's a matchup that you're like, okay, this is and we usually have good games because the style matchup's just so ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
you guys, I would say your guys' style is throwing haymakers. We're coming at you throwing haymakers. We're either going to knock you out or we're going to leave ourselves open. But you don't know where we're throwing this haymaker from. We're like, we're very, you probably know we're just going to sit in this little thing and we're going to work our way out. Like, so the two styles are just so different that it's like there's gameplays where I'm like, I would never do that. Oh, that just worked for them every time they did it. Like, it's just that's one of those things where our team's very predictable on that stuff, but we make it work for us. But that field layout just really was one that, like, I felt so confident in. Like, it was, it felt good. I mean, I didn't like that I was having to carry like 9 pods or whatever, or like, because I'm not really a big dude, so it's kind of annoying to carry.
Do you think it'll go to M500?
I wouldn't mind if it did. I like it. I like playing.
Dude, I want to try it so bad. I'm already shooting M500 anyway with the way I play, so it's like
it's so much fun. And it's the way I look at it is it literally gives you the breakout and then skips that whole 3 to 4 minute point where everybody's just shooting gaps or bounce shots that just ruin the game.
Yeah,
and
dude.
It takes all that out, and you've basically gone from the breakout, a little bit of just kind of seeing where they're at and figuring out the game, to closing the game. Like, that's where it goes. Like,
do you think the NXL would change that mid-season? No. It would have to be a beginning of the season. What about a layout? What about a no layouts until Thursday?
I like that, but I don't think it's good to do for the industry, because for fields, it just doesn't help the fields, and so eventually that hurts the paint companies. That hurts everybody involved, because nobody has to go to a field and practice as much, because you don't have the field layout beforehand for teams to be running these points on.
So Mark and I were talking about this too, like with the M500. Would that cause, since you're not shooting as much paint now, would that cause paint to rise? And then
I don't know if it did in Europe or not, but teams still play about the same amount. They usually just play a couple more. They just play more points because they already know what they have for funding.
Right.
It's not like most teams count how many points they played. They count how many cases they shot. So you're using the same amount, but you're just playing a lot more. And it's the game is really fun to play, just because I mean, you don't really have much paint to shoot, and then like
it's a different feel.
Oh yeah, and like some of the field layouts that like you cannot play in the U.S., you can still use that in Europe, because it's not just some guy shooting a bounce shot with 8 pods, so a guy can never go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so it really is a lot of fun. I think, I still love playing just unlimited paint, because there's some things about it where I do feel there's some aspects that it makes it so more, I wouldn't say more competitive, but it's you really have so much more going
more sharper.
On. Oh yeah, just the margin of error is a lot smaller, because you can't. I mean, these dudes are just going to be ripping the lane, so your decision to go run, shoot deep to the corner or tight to dive into it, like stuff like that, like it changes a lot, because I mean, mid game, some guys just sitting there going, like.
All right, so it's so annoying to me.
I'm just not going through that. Then I'm just gonna go. All right, I'm gonna wait it out for another 2 minutes. So like M500, you don't see it, but it's so much fun, and I don't see the U.S. switching like mid-season ever, but who knows if they'll ever go to it? It just, I don't know if that's something they've discussed, but it's one of those things where like I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I don't see why it would be bad.
Yeah.
But
it'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I think maybe like 3 pods, 3 to 4.
That's what I think. I think 3 pods on your back. Nobody switches anything. Everybody takes out what they have. That's it.
I don't think that'd be bad at all. And like, I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of this whole mechanical craze going on.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like, I was also a huge fan of the True Semi.
I hated that.
I was a huge fan of it.
I hated that.
Because I conceded right away that I was never going to shoot fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I shot with one finger, going tuk, 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 and I knew exactly when a ball was coming out of my gun, and I just tried to make my shot count more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also that you could kind of get a little crazier on trying to make moves and stuff because nobody was shooting very fast.
Yeah.
You could shoot consistent if you wanted to. It's just slow. That was my decision. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to shoot slow. It's cool. I don't care. I shoot with one finger no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be ramping or it's going to be that, I'm shooting with one finger. That's just how I play. So I was like, whatever. People were like, oh, I can't get my gun to shoot fast. I was like, yeah, I'm never going to get it to shoot fast, so I don't even care. And so like, I just conceded that. And like, so when I started, like, this whole mechanical thing started happening, I was like, this could be interesting. Like,
yeah.
I think it's awesome. I think it sucks because, yes, at some point technology seems like it took away some of the stuff that you can do in paintball because the guns became too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the mechanical, man, like, it is so much fun. Like, the speed of the game you can play at, like you played the Chicago one. Like, it's a lot of fun to shoot. And like, even if the electronic guns these days just went to like around an 8 balls a second, like those are shooting, I think it could help the game. Because
I don't know. I think that pace. I think 10 is the lowest we should go, just because I think the pace is so. I think it's right for now.
Well, yes. I just think because what we keep on saying is to mitigate bounce shots, because it's one of the biggest things. Is, I mean, if you slow the rate of fire, the bounce shots aren't going to come in as ridiculously. But what me and Moorhead keep saying is we want to get like a grip tape, almost like a sticker that just goes on the front edge of bunkers, and you just say, hey, on the field layout, you would mark off points where you'd say, hey, we're going to put tape here, here, and here. So when field owners have it, it's like, okay, they could almost put a Velcro thing there that just goes, okay, boom, 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 and you'd make these basically texturized pieces for the bunker that you could still use the plastic, but it'd still give and stuff, but it would just be abrasive enough to take away the bounce shots.
That's not a bad idea.
Because you need, I mean, Sup Air releases field kits almost every year. So fields are already having to upgrade and get new things constantly. If that was just the upgrade kit one year, I still want the bigger snake beams, the tall ones that they used to have. Those were great. But like just something like that to take away bounce shots, then I think there's no need for the M500 because you could still shoot unlimited paint, and the bounce shots are what makes the game so hard right now at like the top levels. Because people find them at the most ridiculous spots. So
talking about the M500, you just got back from Europe, correct?
Yep.
And how did you guys do over there?
Oh, terrible. It was no, we had a really good first day, and we don't know what happened the second day. We were not the same team the second day, and it knocked us out. Like, I mean, Russian Legion won the event, and we beat them the first day. And then the next day we just fell apart. Like, nothing. It's one of those days that nothing goes your way.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, one time Tim called my name. I looked over. I go, yeah. I turned back around. This ball hits me, and I was like, I don't even know where that came from. Like, it was like it was stuff where you're like, I just can't make it up. And it's like you never want to look at somebody and be like, how'd you get shot? Like, I don't want to talk about that one. Like, but every time we came off the field, it was like, I can't talk about that one. Like, it's just
every single time
didn't work, dude. And like, we had a bad day, and that does happen. It was just the fact that it was that bad of a day after such a good day. It happens. we play a lot of events, it happens, and so we're just like, let's try and forget about this, and I feel bad because we have a good team over there. It's just we had a good first event. We lost to Tauntauns in overtime on Sunday, but like this time it just one bad day.
Yeah,
one
that's all it
really
takes.
really bad day.
So now where are you headed after this? Or is it practice for the AC event?
Yeah, we'll actually go. Trying to think if we have. I think it's the mechanical. I can't remember for the mechanical events before it or not, but I know for heat we're going to be practicing in California before the event, and then we're going to practice there one weekend, and then we'll practice in Florida another weekend, and then we'll go to the event, and unfortunately just the way a practice schedule worked out for what teams we could work it out to practice with, so we're going to practice with Dynasty one weekend, then practice with Damage another weekend, and then go to the event. And the last few events, the last two, and even that one, not going home after, just going straight to Millennium. So
yeah, jeez,
miss you. This last one was probably one of the hardest trips. It was for something about it. It was just literally you were like, just want to be back home in my own bed. Just want to be back home in my own bed. Like I've done a couple of trips where I've been gone for a long time stuff, and for some reason this one just.
Yeah.
This one
just took it out of you.
Yeah. And like that's what we said is like, man, it wasn't our practice schedule with heat. It is tough. Like it drains on you, but like, you one of those things like, man, if you take it seriously enough and like
power through it.
It's not only that, it's like we're going out there with a purpose. Like, we do this almost as a living. Like it's, and if at some point, yes, you're like, I love this game and I play it because I love it and I want to have fun. But, at the same time, yes, it is almost a job for us. So it's like there's days where you have to go, you literally just got to be like, dude, suck it up. This is what you do. You've made this decision, and you know what? This is what you're here for. So you step it up, and, you have to almost have those mental talks with yourself. And then you're like, okay. And then as soon as you're done playing or, whatever, you're like, okay, time to lay down. My God. Like, yeah, dude. Like, I am so sore. If you look at me and try to talk to me about paintball, I'm going to freak out on you. Like, it's like, and that's what I always say. It's like, there's times, like, we come home and, like, it's been me, Chad George, and before. It's been me, Moorhead, and Chad George. I've lived with me, Chad George, Tim Montrez. Like, we all live around here together, and like there's times where we're just like, no paintball talk.
Yep.
Maybe this whole week. Set it aside. Like,
and it's understood.
Yeah, and you just it's I need my time off. There's only, especially when we all worked in the industry too, it's like you're like, dude,
overwhelmed.
You live with guys that you work with in the industry. You play in the industry that you live with these guys. Like, it's like it's sometimes it felt never ending where you're like, I got to get away from this stuff. How do I do it? Like, nope, I can't because I got to go into work tomorrow. And so it's like there's times in, you do get burnt out, but then you go out and there's this, like, some weekend you go and just play for fun. And you end up playing with some guys that you played with years ago, and all of a sudden you're like, you're rejuvenated. Like, you enjoy it so much again. You're like, yeah. Like, we go and play with, like, Spesh. I love playing with Spesh because it just cracks me up. So I'm like, alrighty, yeah. I'm excited to play again. Like,
well, yeah, I'll probably because what is it? I think it's before the event. I think the mechanical is before the event. So I'll probably see you at that event if you're going to that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna go see that, and I just gotta kind of wrap this up a little bit. I want to say congratulations face to face on the Dallas win.
Thank you.
I'm glad we at least gave you guys a game when we did. I think we're slowly on our way up, but I'm sure we'll meet again on the paintball field for sure. But good luck at the mechanical event. Good luck at AC, and I'm sure I will talk to you in between then. But safe travels. And is there anyone that you want to thank or
definitely
shout out to?
First of all, Mama D, Sarge's wife, again, she's a great lady. Nobody knows how much she really does for the team. So I can't thank her and Sarge's mom, Nana, enough. They're the two of my favorite women behind my mom. But they, I can't thank them enough. Sarge, definitely thank you to Virtue. They really, we made a switch this year to them, and I can't thank them enough for how much they've done and just how they've treated us. Obviously, Adam at DLX and GOG and Shocker Paintball, he's been with us since day one. Contract Killer, definitely. Chris has been with us pretty much from day one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they definitely nice having a nice engraved gun. So I can't thank them enough. And then Leaf at KM Straps, they definitely, again, they've been another one that's been with us forever. And some of my favorite guys in the world at Anthrax, those are the guys I play with in Europe, and I can't thank them enough for they took a leap of faith with us as well. So can't thank them enough, and hopefully keep those that momentum rolling from Dallas. That'd be nice.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I'm trying to life's a garden.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do, and I will talk to you soon.
Definitely, man. Take it easy.
All right, bud. Take care. Thanks again. Thank you, Sam, for sitting down with me. It was great hearing the story of yourself along with Houston Heat. I never realized exactly where he came from, and I've hung out with him a plethora of times, and I've never really known his backstory, and I thought that was very cool, and I'm very stoked to hear that he's still a part of the Houston Heat program. Another big thank you goes out to drpaintball.com. Make sure to head over there and check out all of their paintball inventory. Also to Midwest Clothing LLC.com for all kinds of custom gear. Vantrition.com for your paintball supplements. Carbon Paintball for your protection base layer. And to Planet Eclipse for all of your intense paintball marker needs. So thank you guys for listening. Very much appreciated. Make sure you head over to the Playing On Podcast on Facebook, as well as myself, Carl Microwave Markowski. Also, Instagram is C Markizel, and the Playing On Podcast on Instagram. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure that we can get out as much paintball content as possible. The more this gets shared around, the more I'm going to be able to do for the more I'm going to be able to do for you guys as far as content goes. The more listeners we get, and the more steady listening base that we get. So thank you everybody so much for listening, and we will see you next episode here on the Playing On Podcast. We'll see ya.